Hi there, good evening. Hope you had a great Sunday. And now, let's look forward to the coming week. Welcome back to this week's edition of Looking Forward. The show, Looking Forward, is about stories that are shaping up over the coming days and weeks. News that is developing and would have consequences for your life and mine and impact our choices. Stories that shape India's and world's politics and economics going forward. So let's get going. Tonight's show packs a punch with 3 stories to look forward to. First up, India marks 79th Independence Day this August 15. As Prime Minister Modi walks up those steps to the ramparts of the Red Fort, he would be displacing Indira Gandhi to become the second PM with 12 speeches on the trot after Jawaharlal Nehru from that iconic platform. He has typically used the occasion every year to not only give a State of the Union, but to also give a policy direction into the future. From Make in India to Beti Bachao, from Balochistan to Gaganyaan, he is crowdsourcing for ideas this ID15, and we decided to chip in. That's story number 1. Second story is happening again on August 15, and the whole world is looking forward to it. The meeting between US President Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. They have met earlier in the first Trump term, but this time it's different. The deal maker Trump is likely to cut one with Putin at the expense of Zelensky. Europe is already squirming. Everyone else is waiting with bated breath. We will give you a lowdown. And our third story tonight picks up on the ongoing visit of Pakistan's failed Marshal General Asim Munir and how it affects geopolitics in South Asia. More specifically, how it impacts the long-term India-US relations. The irresponsible Munir has indulged in some nuclear saber-rattling from the American soil, and it's going to have diplomatic consequences. We'll show you how. Let's begin with the headlines. Pakistani Army Chief General Asim Munir visits US again. While addressing American audience, Munir issues threat from US soil. He says will destroy half the world if threatened.
Ask to a Pakistani whether you lost or won. You say, my chief has become field marshal. We must have won only. That's why he's become field marshal. So what I'm saying that this is how you can influence the population.
Army Chief General Upinder Dwivedi trolls Munir as Field Marshal. Says, if you ask a Pakistani whether you lost or won, he would say, my chief has become a Field Marshal. We must have one only.
कुछ लोग हैं जो भारत के का विकास जितनी तेजी के साथ हो रहा है उन्हें रास नहीं आ रहा है, उन्हें अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है। सबके बास तो हम हैं। भारत कैसे इतनी तेजी के साथ बढ़ रहा है?
Rajnath Singh takes an indirect dig at US President Donald Trump over tariffs. Says they think that we are everyone's boss. They are jealous but can't stop our growth.
आज भारत दुनिया की फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग मेजर इकोनॉमी है। पिछले 11 इयर्स में हमारी इकोनॉमी 10वें नंबर से टॉप 5 में पहुंच गई। हम बहुत तेजी से टॉप 3 इकोनॉमी बनने की ओर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Modi counters Trump and Rahul's dead economy jibe. PM hails India's growth, says India is the fastest growing major economy, racing towards becoming the 3rd largest economy. Karnataka Chief Electoral Officer sends a notice to Rahul Gandhi after his voter theft charge. Election Commissioner asks Rahul to provide documents to inquire into allegations that he has made.
जंगल राज का युवराज जिस तरह से अपने कलंक को दूसरे को भी कलंकित करने का खेल खेलते हैं, इनको माफी मांगनी चाहिए और सफाई देनी चाहिए कि इस तरह के झूठा आरोप कतई नहीं लगाना चाहिए।
Massive BJP versus RJD face-off in poll-bound Bihar after RJD leader Tejasvi Yadav claims Bihar Deputy CM Vijay Sinha holds 2 voter ID cards. Sinha hits back on Tejasvi. EC asks for proof. Encounter underway in Jammu and Kashmir's Kishtwar. 1 terrorist is neutralized, 3 are trapped. Kishtwar police puts up posters of 3 terrorists, including Hizbul commander Jahangir Saruri. Welcome back, friends. This Independence Day, history is in the making. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes the Red Fort stage for a record-breaking 12th time. Only Nehru has done it more. From high-stakes global flashpoints to game-changing national moments of the nation eagerly awaits to hear what comes next for India in the 79th year of its independence. Tonight, we look back at the Prime Minister's most defining speeches and ahead to the vision that could shape India's future. The build-up is electric, the stage is set, and the entire world is looking forward to it. Take a look.
As India approaches its 79th Independence Day on August 15th, history beckons.
भारत माता की, भारत माता की.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will ascend the iconic ramparts of the Red Fort for the 12th consecutive time to deliver his speech as the Prime Minister, surpassing Indira Gandhi and now only trailing Jawaharlal Nehru.
2014 में देशवासियों ने मुझे दायित्व दिया. आजादी के बाद जन्मा हुआ मैं पहला व्यक्ति था जिसको लाल किले से देशवासियों का गौरवगान करने का अवसर मिला. ये नया भारत है, ये आत्मविश्वास से भरा हुआ भारत है, ये संकल्पों को चरितार्थ करने के लिए जी जान से जुटा हुआ भारत है. और इसलिए ये भारत न रुकता है, ये भारत न थकता है, ये भारत न हाँफता है और न ही ये भारत हारता है. मेरा हर पल देश के लिए है, मेरा हर क्षण देश के लिए है, मेरा कण कण सिर्फ और सिर्फ मां भारती के लिए है. और इसलिए 24/7 for 2047 आजादी के 70 साल बाद हम.
This is not just another ceremonial address. It is a powerful symbol of political continuity in an era of constant change. The build-up this year is unmatched, as the shadow of history and clutch of defining events are expected to shape the words of the Prime Minister.
भारत ने 6 मई रात और 7 मई सुबह जैसा तय किया था वैसी कार्रवाई की और पाकिस्तान कुछ नहीं कर पाया. 22 मिनट में 22 अप्रैल का बदला निर्धारित लक्ष्य के साथ हमारी सेना ने ले लिया. दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा। भारत अपने किसानों के, पशुपालकों के और मछुआरे भाई बहनों के हितों के साथ कभी भी समझौता नहीं करेगा। और मैं जानता हूं व्यक्तिगत रूप से मुझे बहुत बड़ी कीमत चुकानी पड़ेगी, लेकिन मैं इसके लिए तैयार हूं।
Prime Minister Modi will focus on three important things. One, Operation Sindoor is going to be the main focus. Second, he is going to give a befitting reply to the US President, Mr. Donald Trump, but indirectly. As he spoke in the Parliament, he will replicate that in Red Fort also. Third, he will take on the opposition heavily on the SIR, Special Intensive Revision, and also give a lesson to the dynastic politics.
To predict the mind of PM Modi is tricky business. In his debut speech itself, he rewrote the playbook for an Independence Day address.
मैं आज लाल किले की प्राचीर से विश्व भर में लोगों से कहना चाहता हूं, कम मेक इन इंडिया, आइए हिंदुस्तान में निर्माण कीजिए। दुनिया के किसी भी देश में जाकर के बेचिए, लेकिन निर्माण यहां कीजिए, मैन्युफैक्चर यहां कीजिए।
Over the years, Prime Minister Modi has doubled down on social change, linking dignity and empowerment to everyday life.
मैंने गत 15 अगस्त को प्रधानमंत्री जनधन योजना इसकी घोषणा की। गरीब के लिए बैंकों के दरवाजे बंद थे। हमने संकल्प किया कि इस कलंक को मिटाना है। मेरे देशवासियों, मैं आज गर्व से कहता हूं कि हमने समय सीमा में काम पूरा किया। मैंने पिछली बार लाल किले पर से शौचालय की बात की, स्वच्छता की बात की। आज पूरे देश में जितने भी सर्वे होते हैं, हर सर्वे में एक बात उजागर आती है कि इस टीम इंडिया की सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जन जन को छूने वाली कोई बात है तो वो स्वच्छता का अभियान है। बांग्लादेश में जो कुछ भी हुआ है।
However, the Prime Minister is also known to make global headlines with his direct references to geopolitical issues.
ऐसे दूर सुदूर बैठे हुए लोग हिंदुस्तान के एक प्रधानमंत्री को अभिनंदन करते हैं, उसका आदर करते हैं, तो मेरे 125 करोड़ देशवासियों का आनंद है, वो मेरे 125 करोड़ देशवासियों का सम्मान है। और इसलिए ये सम्मान का भाव, धन्यवाद का भाव करने वाले बलूचिस्तान के लोगों का, गिलगिट के लोगों का मैं आज तहे दिल से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहता हूं। बांग्लादेश में जो कुछ भी हुआ है उसको लेकर पड़ोसी देश के नाते चिंता होना, मैं इसको समझ सकता हूं। मैं आशा करता हूं कि वहां पर हालात जल्द ही सामान्य होंगे। जम्मू कश्मीर का विकास।
One constant theme over the years in his speech has been the message on Kashmir. Something in hindsight shows us the policy blueprint all along. With the context of Operation Sindoor, his words will be watched all over the world.
ओ भाई कोई है ऊपर?
कश्मीर में जो कुछ भी घटनाएं घटती हैं, अलगाववादी, मुट्ठी भर अलगाववादी, ये अलगाववादी जिस प्रकार के नए नए पैंतरे रचते रहते हैं, लेकिन उस लड़ाई को जीतने के लिए मेरे दिमाग में विषय साफ है। न गाली से समस्या सुलझने वाली है, न गोली से समस्या सुलझने वाली है। समस्या सुलझेगी हर कश्मीरी को गले लगा करके सुलझने वाली है। वाजपेयी जी ने कहा था, इंसानियत, जमहूरियत और कश्मीरियत, इन तीन मूल्य मुद्दों को लेकर के हम कश्मीर के विकास के लिए और साथ साथ जन जन को गले लगा करके चले, इसी भाव के साथ हम आगे बढ़ना चाहते। हम गोली और गाली के रास्ते पर नहीं, गले लगा करके मेरे कश्मीर के देशभक्ति से जीने वाले लोगों के साथ आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं। आर्टिकल 370 के कारण, 35A के कारण कुछ रुकावटें भी आई। आज लाल किले से जब मैं देश को संबोधित कर रहा हूं, तब मैं ये गर्व के साथ कहता हूं कि आज हर हिंदुस्तानी कह सकता है, वन नेशन वन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन।
Prime Minister's speeches are also known to set the tone for the upcoming legislative agenda of his government.
एक नए इंस्टीट्यूशन को हम निर्माण करेंगे और बहुत ही जल्द योजना आयोग की जगह पर ये नई इंस्टीट्यूट काम करे, उस दिशा में हम आगे बढ़ने वाले हैं। जीएसटी के द्वारा देश ने कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म, कॉम्पिटिटिव कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म को एक नई ताकत दी है, एक नया परिणाम नजर आया है। 3 तलाक की कुरीति ने हमारे देश की मुस्लिम बेटियों की जिंदगी को तबाह करके रखा हुआ। मैं विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि मैं उनके न्याय के लिए, उनके हक के लिए करने में कुछ भी कमी नहीं रखूंगा। हमने कम्युनल सिविल कोड में 75 साल बिताए हैं, अब हमें सेक्युलर सिविल कोड की तरफ जाना होगा और तब जाकर के देश में धर्म के आधार पर जो भेदभाव हो रहे हैं, सामान्य नागरिक को जो दूरी महसूस होती है, उससे हमें मुक्ति मिलेगी। $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी।
However, it's not just about legislative agenda. PM Modi's words on the economy will be even more crucial given the tariff war with the United States.
2014 से 2019 5 साल के भीतर हम लोग 2 ट्रिलियन से 3 ट्रिलियन पहुंच गए। $1 ट्रिलियन हमने जोड़ दिया। अगर 5 साल में 70 साल में जो हुआ उसमें इतना बड़ा जंप लगाया, तो आने वाले 5 साल में हम $5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी बन सकते हैं।
We have seen in how in G20 we have become a kind of a bridge between the we have become a bridge between the developed countries and the global south, and India should play that role more progressively. India has moved out from its non-alignment movement and now it's part of I2, U2, Quad at one place, BRICS at one place. So India is making its own formations wherever it's beneficial for its own people. So when Narendra Modi speaks, everyone sees which direction India is taking, and based on that they will take their own course.
And then there is politics. With major elections on the horizon, the Prime Minister is rarely to miss the mark.
मैं सबकी चर्चा न करते हुए 2 पर जरूर चर्चा करना चाहता। एक है भ्रष्टाचार, दूसरा है भाई भतीजावाद, परिवारवाद। जब एक तरफ से देखते हैं, एक तरफ वो लोग हैं जिनके पास रहने के लिए जगह नहीं है, दूसरी पार वो तरह लोग हैं जिनको अपना चोरी किया हुआ माल रखने के लिए जगह नहीं है। ये स्थिति अच्छी नहीं है। और इसलिए हमें भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ पूरी ताकत से लड़ना है। सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, इसी श्रद्धा के साथ हम सब जुट चुके हैं। लेकिन आज लाल किले की प्राचीर से आह्वान कर रहा हूं, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास और अब सबका प्रयास हमारे हर लक्ष्यों की प्राप्ति के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
This year, Prime Minister Modi's speech can set the tone for Parliament. Will UCC find a mention once again? Will the Prime Minister double down on One Nation, One Election? Is a message for greater push for Atmanirbhar Bharat imminent? Will the Prime Minister directly address Trump's tariff war? Will PM signal a new diplomatic realignment? What will be his message for the upcoming elections? Will the Prime Minister speak on caste census? With all the frenzy around the Election Commission of India, will the Prime Minister break his silence?
The clarion call for 2047 Vikasit Bharat, I think it's a call. I would say that something, like if he will make a surprise announcement. Of course, he is known for surprises. Something we need to see from the government, from the Prime Minister, which is achieved tangibly, you see. So that is the way I look at it.
हर काम को चुनाव के रंग से रंग दिया गया, टालते भी नहीं है और न ही हम समस्याओं को पालते।
12 speeches and billions of dreams. This Independence Day, all eyes turn once again to the ramparts of the Red Fort. The stage is set and history is in the making.
जय हिंद, जय हिंद, वंदे, वंदे, वंदे।
All right, moving on to the second one. 1263 days. That's how long the Russia and Ukraine war has been ongoing. And while Trump promised to end it on day one, the last 202 days have been under his presidency. But a big meeting is now on the horizon in the ice-cold province of Alaska, one part of the Russia sold to the Americans in 1867. 158 years later, this relic of history is set to once again redraw the world maps. Only this time, the country will be Ukraine. And unfortunately for the Ukrainians, they won't be at the table, but instead will be on it. Peace or no peace. Zelensky has drawn the line. He won't spare a peace for Putin. And yet, Trump is confident that in his 7th outing with Putin, first since the war, he can get his most credible shot for the Nobel. In the end, no matter how this upcoming meeting goes on August 15th, one question will linger in our minds. Was it all about peace or just for the prize? The world is watching, and you take a look.
A historic summit is on the horizon.
Шановні українці, українки, президент Трамп оголосив про підготовку своєї зустрічі з Путіним на Алясці. Дуже далеко від цієї війни, яка триває на нашій землі, проти нашого народу, яку все одно не закінчити без нас, без України.
Europe wants to see peace. The European leaders want to see peace. President Putin, I believe, wants to see peace, and Zelensky wants to see peace. Now, President Zelensky has to get all of his everything he needs, because he's going to have to get ready to sign something, and I think he is working hard to get that done.
Absolutely. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin can sit across the table and talk. If you look at Donald Trump's track record, he's proven that he can sit down with America's toughest adversaries, North Korea and China and Russia, and he could do it from a position of strength. Talking does not mean capitulating. It just means advancing U.S. interests, and that's what Donald Trump is doing.
The interesting thing would be to see their body language, if this is something that we can actually see as it is ongoing. But yes, I believe that Trump, he's a great negotiator. He likes to come into a meeting and approach every chance that he has as being a way to make a deal.
upcoming meeting, which is promised to happen in Alaska, I think it's in the interest of Putin more than of Trump. And I think definitely they can talk, definitely. And that would unfortunately make Putin look like a legitimate world leader, while in reality he's just a war criminal.
President Putin and President Trump are all set to sit across the table, a table with the map of Ukraine on it.
Well, you're looking at territory that's been fought over for 3.5 years with, a lot of Russians have died, a lot of Ukrainians have died. So we're looking at that, but we're actually looking to get some back and some swapping. It's complicated. It's actually nothing easy. It's very complicated, but we're going to get some back. We're going to get some switched. There'll be some swapping of territories to the betterment of both. And but we'll be talking about that either later or tomorrow or whatever.
Naturally, Zelensky is not ready to move an inch, but he is cautious in his dealing with the US president after nightmares from the past.
Звісно, ми не дамо Росії нагород за зроблене. Український народ заслуговує на мир. Але всі партнери мають розуміти, що таке достойний мир. Цю війну треба закінчувати, і Росія має її закінчити. Росія її почала та затягує, не слухаючи ніякі дедлайни. І саме це проблема, а не щось інше. Відповідь на українське територіальне питання є вже в Конституції України. Відступати від цього ніхто не буде і не зможе. Дарувати свою землю окупанту українці не будуть. Україна готова до реальних рішень, які можуть дати мир. Будь-які рішення, які проти нас, будь-які рішення, які без України, вони одночасно і рішення проти миру. Вони нічого не дадуть. Це мертві рішення. Вони ніколи не спрацюють. А нам усім потрібен реальний, живий мир, який люди будуть поважати.
The question colder than the chilling winds of Alaska continues to remain. Can Trump convince Ukraine and EU to cede Donbass to Russia?
I think that what you're going to hear Donald Trump say over and over again to Vladimir Putin is that he is looking for outcomes that end the war and save lives. And ultimately, that's a conversation about, territory moving one way or another. That ultimately gets set at the negotiating table, certainly not in preconditions.
The reality is that Putin does not want Donbass, and it's not why he started this war, and it's not how he will agree to finish this war. It is just a game, and Putin actually he wants the whole Ukraine.
Ceding any territory is going to be extremely difficult because we know that within the constitution of Ukraine, they cannot cede any territory. And I understand that. We all understand that very much. So this is going to be a very, very big problem now.
Ukraine has said that they recognize that parts of the country will remain under Russian occupation under any settlement, and they will forego the right to regain those territories via military operation, to liberate them militarily. So they will leave that for a future diplomatic settlement. What Ukraine has said also clearly, though, is that they will not, under any circumstances, officially cede territory. They will not redraw the map. They will not hand territory officially over to Russia. So I think if Russia's demand is that it must have this...
While Zelensky is trying his best to get a seat at the table,
дарувати свою землю окупанту українці не будуть. Україна готова до реальних рішень, які можуть дати мир. Будь-які рішення, які проти нас, будь-які рішення, які без України, вони одночасно і рішення проти миру. Вони нічого не дадуть. Це мертві рішення. Вони ніколи не спрацюють. А нам усім потрібен реальний, живий мир, який люди будуть поважати.
Trump, on the other hand, still believes Zelensky is not authorized to do certain things.
Well, he's going out and getting what he needs. You know, he's not authorized to do certain things. I said, well, you're going to have to get it fast because, you know, we're getting very close to a deal. And he's doing that, and he's working with the European nations, and they're terrific people, terrific leaders, NATO. And as you know, I became very friendly with them. They agreed to go from 2% to 5%, 2% that they didn't pay to 5% that they've already paid. It's trillions of dollars. So, you know, we're working together very closely. But no, in all fairness to President Zelensky, he's getting everything he needs to assuming we get something done. But I'll be meeting very shortly with President Putin.
Now, there was this problem earlier this year when Zelensky came to the White House and met with Trump. That did not go very well, and the meeting as became famous around the world, a video that Trump basically had Zelensky leave.
If Donald Trump is successful, Vladimir Zelensky gets a path to peace, he gets security guarantees, and he gets a chance to rebuild his country that has been devastated after 3 years of war. It is much better for Zelensky to be part of a Trump-led solution than to be stuck in the current stalemate that ultimately is going to grind Ukraine into the ground.
Well, if Putin and Trump reach an agreement between themselves, which is very damaging for Ukraine, and if Ukraine then turns around and says, if Zelensky then turns around and says, no, I don't accept this, of course, that would put Zelensky potentially at odds with America. It would potentially mean that America would then turn around and say, okay, we're not going to help Ukraine anymore. We're not going to provide Ukraine with any military support. We're not going to provide Ukraine with financial support, diplomatic support, or even intelligence support, which they've been doing over the last 3.5 years. So it could mean a breach with the Americans. That would have a knock-on effect for Ukraine's relations with other NATO members, other the European partners of Ukraine.
While the war has been ongoing for 3 years, there is a sense of desperation in Trump.
I'll end that war between those two countries in 24 hours. It won't even take that long. I will get the war ended. I'll stop all of those lives from being wasted and lost. And there'll be no more bombing of Ukraine. There'll be no more bombing of Russia. And everybody will be happy.
That desperation to prove a point has now turned into blind ambition for Trump. Not for peace, but for prize.
I think President Trump deserved to have a Nobel Peace Prize, and we will defend that, and we will promote for that, and that's obvious. So, and today's event, I think, is a very bright expression of that, and hopefully you will invite us to
front row. You'll be front row.
Yeah. We are in favor.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing it because of, I really, number one, I want to save lives. That's why I'm involved so much with Ukraine and Russia. It's saving lives of Russians and Ukrainians. It's not American lives. Now, I would say this, that war could have escalated in something much better. That could have been a world war. I think if we didn't come, Ukraine-Russia would have ended up being a world war. And I stopped that. That stopped. Now the only question is, when is it going to be settled? And it could be very soon.
This fits in with Donald Trump's agenda for his second term. Endless wars are bad for America. It drains resources, it spikes inflation, and frankly, it distracts Trump from America's real strategic interests. The goal that Donald Trump has said repeatedly is to stop the killing, and to do so without the U.S. taxpayers having to write a blank check to Ukraine.
Trump thinks that he would be the one who will finish this war because he claims he's a peace president and he can solve global conflicts in the world and stop countries from having wars. So for him, it's clear why he agreed to meet Putin. Zelensky is not the person who, controls the war. He is democratically elected Ukrainian president, but he's commander-in-chief, but it's Ukrainian people, Ukrainian army. They decide whether to fight back to protect their country or to surrender to Russians. And Ukrainian people have decided to fight. And if Ukrainian people keep this decision and majority of Ukrainians they don't plan to surrender to Russia. If, for example, Trump would sit down with Putin and decide, for example, I say in theory, that Kiev would become a Russian city, you understand, it would never happen because there are 40 million Ukrainians. And it's important what they think and what they feel.
And Ukrainians are very skeptical about the summit meeting between Trump and Putin. They are concerned that Putin may be able to manipulate Trump. Putin is seen as a very skilled operator at this level, a very experienced statesman who is very skilled at manipulating, and Trump, on the contrary, is seen as someone who is very susceptible to flattery, very open to being manipulated via this sort of very personal approach to offer him compliments and flattery and to praise him and to win his confidence in this way. So there are concerns that Trump could be very vulnerable.
While Ukrainians have their own apprehensions, in Moscow preparations are in full swing, with Russian President Vladimir Putin even personally chairing the first meeting of the National Security Council in 5 years, his first since COVID-19 pandemic.
Уважаемые коллеги, мы обсудим сегодня некоторые вопросы региональной повестки дня, региональной политики, применительно, конечно, к обеспечению и решению вопросов безопасности, прежде всего. У нас два докладчика, Колокольцев Владимир Александрович и Бортников Александр Васильевич. Давайте начнем.
Since the arrival of Witkoff in Moscow last week, President Putin has also held several phone calls with both leaders in Beijing and in New Delhi. Briefing the two allies on the updates on the Ukraine front, things are moving fast for Putin.
I think it's very important to not rush to conclusions that this is going to be either a success or a failure. The bringing together was very strategic of Putin and Trump. The fact that they're meeting on U.S. territory in Alaska, somewhere in between Washington, D.C. and Moscow, is very strategic in its own right because there's an International Criminal Court warrant out for the arrest of Putin. And so at least this is showing the doors are opening, and I think that we should all be very thankful that at least we've got these two individuals, the heads of state, coming together to start some sort of process, and we hope that it's going to at least highlight what the differences are, what the people agree with, and then where we can go from there.
I anticipate the talks between the two to be candid, to be direct, and also to be transactional. This is not going to be a State Department scripted event. Trump, because he is a master negotiator, understands how to mix pressure with opportunity. I believe that he will keep Vladimir Putin off balance. And look, these two men know each other. I think that they know what each other's red lines are. And I think that, both want to achieve victory here. So I think it's going to be a really interesting battle between two countries' leaders.
Well, it's not clear yet whether Putin is prepared to make any sort of concessions. Putin's positions with regard to the invasion of Ukraine are still quite maximalist. He wishes to essentially establish control over Ukraine, and he wishes to hold not only the territories currently occupied by Russia, but also other areas that are claimed by Moscow. So it will be, I think, a lot will depend on whether Trump is able to influence Putin and convince him that it's in Russia's interests to downgrade its demands, its expectations, and accept some form of compromise.
This isn't Trump's first rodeo with Putin, and it's certainly not the first time Putin is meeting a US president. In the last quarter of a century, POTUS have changed but Putin has been permanent. The date will be August 15th. The location is Alaska. 2 men, 1 table, and the fate of a nation hanging in the balance. History won't be written in Alaska, but will be tested in Ukraine. For between ambition and peace lies the fate of a 3-year-long war.
All right, as Trump would say it, thank you for your attention to this matter. Moving on. Less than 2 months after he was hosted to a private lunch at the White House by President Donald Trump, Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir visited the United States for the second time. The visit is going on, in fact, as we speak. This time, Munir will participate in a change of guard ceremony of the American Central Command. He already participated in the farewell or sending off of its present Chief General Kurilla. While addressing American citizens, Munir threatened to plunge the region into a nuclear war should his country face an existential threat in a future war with India. The visit comes days after Trump's 50% tariff on India. As Trump's vendetta against India seems personal, is this the reason for his bending over backwards to Munir? Watch this report.
नूर खान बेस में आके गिरा है ये अटैक हुआ है नूर खान बेस पे
If you ask to a Pakistani whether you lost or won, you say, my chief has become field marshal, we must have won only, that's why he's become field marshal.
This is Field Marshal Asim Munir at the center of the potshots by Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi, and rightly so. He is on a second visit to the United States in 2 months, this time to participate in change of guard ceremony of the American Central Command.
Shame on you, man, brother! Shame on you!
Munir also attended the farewell of General Mike Kurilla, who retired as head of the command that oversees American security interests from Pakistan and Afghanistan to Egypt and Sudan, and also much of the Middle East. The same Kurilla who praised Pakistan before a Senate hearing.
And that's why we need, if I could.
Yes, please.
We have to have a relationship with Pakistan and with India. I do not believe it is a binary switch, that we can't have one with Pakistan if we have a relationship with India. We should look at the merits of the relationship for the positives that it has. They're hanging out right in that border area of Pakistan. And I would also tell you that, since 2024, the beginning, Pakistan had over 1,000 terrorist attacks in the western area, killing about 700 security and civilians and 2,500 wounded. They're in an active counterterrorism fight right now, and they have been a phenomenal partner in the counterterrorism world.
And was duly rewarded with Pakistan's highest military honor for his services. But the Munir machinations go right up to the United States President Donald Trump.
But now we speak to him, and I'm so happy. There was a deal that 2 smart people, plus, they had people on their staff too, but 2 smart people, 2 very smart people decided not to keep going with that war. That could have been a nuclear war. Those are 2 nuclear powers, big ones, big nuclear powers, and they decided not. So I was honored to meet him today.
This was in the month of June, and effusive Trump was fresh out of dinner meeting with the Pakistani general.
It is unusual, for the, first of all, the army chief being invited to the White House, and that itself was unusual, then going again in quick succession. The reason which is being given out is that he's attending the farewell of the outgoing CENTCOM chief. But that is probably just an excuse. There's obviously more substantive issues at hand. And some of the issues that I can think of, one, you see, everybody presumed that his tenure expires in November 2025, and everybody presumed that because he's become Field Marshal, he will automatically continue. But that is not so. Field Marshal is only the rank. The post of Chief of Army Staff was for 4 years, and he can get for another 2 years.
In the shadow of India's Operation Sindoor and having publicly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack, Trump had made an about turn. Trump was not only obliging the general responsible for the attack, but showering him with praise. Something did not add up. For instance, Pakistan has been exposed by United States itself after the Resistance Front, a proxy of Lashkar-e-Taiba, was terror-attacked. Asim Munir's rise despite the disaster during India-Pakistan conflict has led to the reports of army takeover fears growing in Pakistan, even though Pakistan is trying hard to reject such reports. Pakistan's economy has been in shambles for the past decade and is sustaining on global loans. Yet, it is India under Trump's fire.
We've been very successful in settling wars. You have India, Pakistan, you have Rwanda and the Congo. That was going on for 30 years. India, take a look at what we just did with Pakistan and India. We settled that whole thing, and I think I settled it through trade. We're doing a big deal with India. We're doing a big deal with Pakistan. And India is my friend, Modi. And he's a
mutual friend?
Yeah, he's a great guy. Well, I stopped a war between Pakistan. I love Pakistan. I think Modi is a fantastic man. I spoke to him last night. We're going to make a trade deal. Today's signing follows our success with India and Pakistan. They were going at it.
Roughly the same time, Trump started panning India. In what seemed like a motivated campaign, the American president started ratcheting up his tariff jibes against India.
We've made a lot of progress, and as you know, we put a 50% tariff on India on oil. They're the second largest. They're very close to China in terms of the purchase of oil from Russia. But so I don't know if that had anything to. It may happen. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you yet, but we did it with India. We're doing it probably with a couple of others.
Only now things are falling in place. These reports suggested a phone call between Prime Minister Modi and President Donald Trump did not go well. Trump wanted to ram through a photo op with Prime Minister Modi and Field Marshal Munir by his side, like the one he had with the leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan on Saturday. All this just to buttress his Nobel Peace Prize claims. But of course, not only that Prime Minister Modi did not oblige, he rubbed it in with his speech in Parliament, making it clear no world leader forced India's hands on Operation Sindoor.
दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा.
But blinded by his zeal to match Obama's Nobel Peace Prize, Trump is hitting a wrecking ball at the India-US relationship.
You know, he's left all geopolitics to the winds. Geopolitical calculation. It has all become trade and tariff, which also we could live with and adjust with, providing there was some constancy. It changes day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. So how can any country devise a long-term strategy, strategize and come to terms and, then react accordingly? And because of trade and tariffs, because he is peeved with India, he is making a great friend of Pakistan. It is unheard of. A Pakistani general or any general from any country for that matter getting an invite a 2 hours lunch meeting with Donald Trump.
It is personal. It is the prize, not peace.
It's not sudden. Pakistan has been trying for a long time. Pakistan doesn't want to leave the US. It's the US which has distanced itself, especially after Osama bin Laden was found and killed in Abbottabad, and then after the US left Afghanistan. So the US had distanced himself. Now suddenly, I think there are several reasons, and a lot of it has to do with President Trump himself. And very cleverly, Pakistan has pitched itself to massage President Trump's ego, you know. They nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize and he's very tickled about it. They've also pitched Pakistan as being the next biggest thing as far as rare earths are concerned. They've said there are about $7 trillion worth of rare earths and minerals in Pakistan. Nobody knows how, where, you know, kahan.
Trump's vendetta against India seems personal, and that's where a bending over backwards Munir comes in handy.
America is realizing that India is quite obsessed with Pakistan. Not only obsessed, we have worried about the issue of terrorism. But America seems to think that if it can play a Pakistan, it will irritate India. And therefore, it is doing some more of these things. It thinks it can, bring India around by later on saying, okay, we will downscale our relations with Pakistan. We do this, you give us this. So this is one more tool in America's negotiations with India, I think. And thirdly, Trump also thinks that by doing this, he can draw Pakistan a bit away from China.
It is clear that Trump would pivot to Pakistan just out of spite. A sentiment gaining ground in New Delhi.
कुछ लोग हैं जो भारत के का विकास जितनी तेजी के साथ हो रहा है उन्हें रास नहीं आ रहा है, उन्हें अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. सबके बास तो हम हैं. भारत कैसे इतनी तेजी के साथ बढ़ रहा है और बहुतों के द्वारा यह कोशिश की जा रही है कुछ ऐसा किया जाए ताकि भारत में भारतवासियों के हाथों से जो चीजें तैयार होती हैं वह दुनिया के देशों में जाएं तो उन देशों में बनने वाली चीजों से वह महंगी हो जाएं ताकि भारत की धरती पर भारतवासियों के हाथों से बनी हुई चीजें जब महंगी हो जाएंगी तो दुनिया के लोग उसे नहीं खरीदेंगे. यह कोशिश की जा रही है. लेकिन बहनों भाइयों, भारत जितनी तेजी के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है, मैं पूरे विश्वास के साथ कहता हूं कि भारत को अब दुनिया की कोई ताकत विश्व की एक बड़ी शक्ति बनने से रोक नहीं सकती है.
This was Defense Minister Rajnath Singh's swipe at Trump's Pakistan lurch on a day when Munir was hobnobbing with CENTCOM generals in Florida, United States. Question is, should we worry?
You know, Donald Trump had started with one grand strategic vision. What was that? At least that is what he had articulated in the run-up to the elections. That was that I need a period of 5 to 6 years for peace and quiet. For what? Peace and quiet so that I can mend the American economy, restore the American economy to its former primacy, make America great again, MAGA, right? Number one. Number two, I want to rebuild the American armed forces, all of whose reserves of missiles and ammunition, etc., have been expended in Ukraine and the Middle East. I want to rebuild the American armed forces. I want to end the forever wars, and I want to tackle the deep state. I'm afraid 7 months down the line, because of his over-involvement in the day-to-day, minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour control of the trade and tariff wars, he's tiring himself out. As it is, he's 79. He's tiring himself out, right? And the deep state has gotten the better of Donald Trump, right? The deep state has gotten the better of Donald Trump. And that is a sad fact, a very sad fact.
Asim Munir's visit at cosmetic level may appear to weaken India's stand vis-a-vis its ties with United States. But in the longer run, United States, led by capitalism in its spirit, cannot be driven by only sycophancy and must give in to a stronger economic power.
United States is sending is, we don't need India as an ally against China. If India is a member of the Quad, so what? We need Pakistan. Pakistan is an ally of China. So, we are confused. Who is your principal antagonist? What is your grand strategy? Do you have a grand strategy? Right? I don't think so. And the second fact is that, Pakistan, if you are lurching towards Pakistan like you had lurched in the 1971 war, then you leave India no option but you are driving India into the RIC, Russia, India, China camp, just for sheer survival. But we will do it. India is a proud civilizational state. It will not bend, it will not kneel. It will stand up in all its relationships. And the United States is doing itself a great disservice by knocking out the basis of all grand strategies. He is doing damage to the United States. 30 years it had taken to build up friendly relations between India and the United States. We were strategic partners, I thought. Is this the way you treat your strategic partner?
Even Devashar thinks we can give it a pass.
I think India has got a lot on its plate at the moment vis-a-vis the United States to be really concerned about Munir. Yes, somebody should be keeping an eye on who he meets, what he's doing, but I don't think so. After all, these are two sovereign countries. If they want to meet and talk, and if the US thinks that the way ahead for Pakistan is to deal with the military and not the democracy, the democratically elected government, good luck to them.
Long after Trump is gone, it would be left for Indian and American diplomats to pick the threads again of a relationship which was soaring till Trump wrecked it.
This is all we could pack in this edition of Looking Forward. You should, of course, look forward to much of this actually happening over the coming week and the weeks to come. Thanks for watching.